I hope this video doesn't turn into an epic fail. What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for part 2 of building the coolest scenes from the Skywalker Saga, standalones and sequels excluded. In part 1 I covered the prequels, so in today's video I'm going to be building the coolest scenes from Star Wars episodes 4, 5, and 6. And to be honest, I've been feeling some trepidation in regards to making this video because, as you guys know, my channel lives and thrives in the prequels. I love making prequels and Clone Wars Mocs. So in today's video I'm going to be branching out and building in a time or era that I'm not familiar with. That means I'll be building scenes and structures I don't normally do. And as if that wasn't enough, it just doesn't have that many cool scenes or meme-worthy moments in my opinion, besides this gem.
They want no wonder.
Also, I'm going to be following the same rules as part 1, so large-scale battles and scenes are excluded. But I promise to do all 6 movies, so execute Order 66 on that like button and let's get started. Episode 4 is probably the weakest of the 3 original trilogy movies in my opinion, which makes sense because the story of Star Wars was still in its infancy at this point and George Lucas was still putting all the pieces together. That being said, it was slim pickings trying to find the coolest scene, and I ultimately landed on Obi-Wan and Vader's fight in the Death Star. I'm going to recreate the hallway with a doorway leading out to a little bit of the hangar where the Millennium Falcon was. I'm going to go with snot for the floors because Coruscant has eaten up almost all my light bluish gray tile. And to be honest, I have really been digging how it looks recently. The doorway is going to be super simple, just brick, some regular and inverted slopes, and I will add in sections of light bluish gray set back one stud in the wall to make them look more realistic. The Death Star has these very iconic panels of lights all over the halls and rooms, and so I'm going to try and build a very rough look-alike out of white and dark bluish gray plates to add to the hallway. I'm going to leave some gaps in the back of the wall of the hallway so I can slide the light panels in and hopefully they won't fall out. While it's no duel on Mustafar, this hallway scene is still pretty cool. It's the first time we get to see 2 masters dueling and the first time we get to see lightsabers in action. The overall mock turned out pretty good. It shows Obi-Wan and Vader battling in the hallway just before Obi-Wan gets turned into a Force ghost. I think this build has enough recognizable features to make you think Obi-Vader hallway scene without being super accurate or detailed. I tried something new as well. I left a gap in the roof right above the 2 minifigs. This allowed more light into the hall and illuminated the figs better while still making it look like there was a roof above them. Episode 5 had some cool scenes in it, from Cloud City to the Battle of Hoth, but I had to go with Yoda lifting the X-Wing out of the swamp on Dagobah. Per tradition for terrain mocks, I'm doing freeform, but not the easy plate freeform you've seen in the couple of recent videos. I'm going all out and using bricks and slopes and anything else I can find. There will be a little section of the plate style freeform on the front. Most of the mock is going to be swamp, with the edges in front making up the swamp bank where Yoda and the gang are. I had a realization with this mock. I didn't need to be building the mocks as small as I have been, like in the last video. I've been doing so many of the timed mock challenge videos that I was subconsciously building mocks of a similar size, even though I had all the time in the world and could build much bigger. So I'm going all out on this one. Another reason I was able to build so big is because I have a lot of dark tan in all shapes and sizes, whereas I've had limited parts for previous mocks with certain colors. The water of the swamp has a greenish color to it, so I'm going to put down a layer of green brick to represent that. I would have liked to have used tile to make it look more realistic to water and much smoother, but I didn't have nearly enough green tile, so just pretend all the exposed studs are a horde of little frogs. I'm using wedge plates stacked on top of each other to create the swamp bank. They create such a beautiful rounded shape that is always super satisfying to look at. I can't fit an entire X-Wing in this mock, so I'm just going to build the left wings and have them rising out of the swamp with some green plate surrounding them to create ripples and water displacement. I'm not going to do anything special with the wings, just build enough of them to be recognizable as an X-Wing. To me, this was the coolest scene because we've never seen such a display of the Force at this level. And Yoda, being this sausage-stealing crazy hermit living in a swamp, had this cool little scene to validate him as a Jedi Master and to show what he's capable of. Dagobah was a fun place to build. I'm very comfortable working with dark tan, so the mock came together pretty smoothly. And I like the look of the green water, but I do think it would have looked better as tile. I did add a bunch of transclear studs around the base of the X-Wing on the churning water, and in other patches on the swamp to represent mist and moving water. I made some very sad looking trees because Dagobah had a dense swamp, but you really only see the base of the tree, so I didn't have to add any foliage, and of course we have Yoda and R2 on the bank. Episode 6 caused me a lot of headache, trying to find the coolest scene. It has one of the coolest duels of the trilogy, second only to this. But I think Luke and the gang kicking butt on Jabba's sail barge might be the winner here. So I'm going to try and build the top part of the sail barge without making it look too much like a pirate ship. I don't have enough parts to build more than just the top of the barge, unfortunately. The main elements I want to recreate are the hatch, which leads to the interior, the giant cannon that is used to blow up the barge, a mast, and some railings. If I can recreate those, I should have a pretty good shot at making this look somewhat like Jabba's sail barge. There are a couple of different levels on the top deck, so I'm going to build the rear of the barge taller than the front, and add in some inverted slopes underneath to get an accurate angle for the rear of the barge. I don't have any brown railing pieces, so I'm going to use pearl gold pipes, clips, and rods, which should make for a pretty nice looking railing. The floor of the barge is just going to be dark bluish gray tile and plate. Building the gun is going to be tough. Whenever I build large cannons or guns, they tend to look blocky and cartoonish. The gun on the barge has double barrels and some kind of dish on the side, which I will add, to hopefully make it look somewhat like the actual model, as well as a seat for the gunner. I had a pretty bad headache when building all this, so this mock is probably not going to be my best work. Here we have Luke using his awesome Jedi moves, battling Jabba's guards on the top of the sail barge right before it gets blown up. I don't own a slave lamb minifig, so pretend she's still down below choking out Jabba. To be honest, this thing looks like a Subway sandwich, long and narrow. So looking back, I think if I were to redo this, I would have built just the rear section of the barge with the cannon and the hatch. That way I would have more parts and time to make it look more accurate and detailed. I included Boba as a fun Easter egg even though he was in the Sarlacc pit at this point in the scene. I also got to use my old school Luke with the chrome lightsaber hilt, which is always fun. But despite my best efforts, it still looks like a pirate ship. I think the gold railings definitely didn't help. So overall, not super pleased with this mock, but I think I was at least able to capture what was going on in the scene. Not gonna lie, this video was not my favorite. As you saw, I really struggle with original trilogy mocks. I think that is in part because I just don't enjoy them as much as I do the prequels, and the scenes are not as flashy and nostalgic to me, so they don't get me as excited or inspired. But these movies were limited with what they could accomplish, and I do still enjoy them for what they are. I have lots more exciting stuff coming up in the future, including a classic clone-based challenge, and some of the coolest cities in Star Wars on display. So don't forget to let me know which of these mocks was your favorite, or what scene you would have picked in the comments, and I will catch you next time. But until then, happy building.